graceful and beautiful and physical and angry all at the same time.
Were you idiot, your mind would cave in and your heart would explode within your chest.
This is going to be a shame.
Here we go, indeed. An all-new episode of the Tall Can Audio Podcast. My name is Matt Robinson, as always coming to you from the TCA Studio in beautiful Bytown, Canada. We bring back one of our favorites. I think, as you referenced before we fired up the mics here, this is your third time on the show. Julian McKenzie from The Athletic and the Chris Johnston Show is here. What's happening, man?
I'm doing well, man. Humbled to be among the show's favorites. Thanks so much for having me back, man. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Yeah, we're not that prestigious. We just we do our thing.
When you get Ian Mendez out of his busy schedule on this podcast, I mean,
It's a hard guy to reach now.
You're not nuts. Yeah, just this new job of his. Right?
Honestly, he was supposed to come in. He was here back in early July, and he was going to come in again in mid-August with, I don't know how many people know this, but one of his, I'm sure you do, one of his closest friends is Down Goes Brown.
Yes.
Best man at each other's wedding, these sorts. So we thought it might be a fun show to have the two of them in together. And he texted me at the last minute. He's like, yeah, I can't make it. But he didn't tell me why. And I was like, all right. And I find out later, when I read on the website, the Senators website now, this is when he went down and did a piece for them on Brady Tkachuk and Matthew Tkachuk playing the NHL video games.
That's why, yeah.
So I text him back. I'm like, I can't believe you thought it'd be more fun to go play video games with the Tkachuk brothers than coming in here.
Yeah, oh no, you're playing with Brady and Matthew.
This is it. Yeah, it sounds like a drag, man.
Yeah, jeez.
So that's why he didn't end up making it back in here. But
that sounds like a cool episode idea, though. Just having Sean and Ian together, like those two together.
There's
are
so
really
many
great.
avenues to come at it from, right? Their own personal relationship, the Leafs versus Sens thing, like everything about it. I just thought that'd be fun. So we'll endeavor to get that done, but it didn't end up happening over the summer. But glad you're back, man. Lots to talk about with you. You've got, man, big. I was going to call it news. It's been out there for a little while, but it was big news at the time. It will be again when it comes out, and we're going to make it so again today. Obviously, we're going to talk about it, but before we do, you know where we like to start on this show, and I did better this time than the last time you were in here, and certainly than when Matt Scooby was in here, which we admitted on the air. We tried to get Scooby a couple of seltzers that were gluten-free. Picked the only two brands in the world that were not gluten-free.
Yeah, I forgot to tell you I'm gluten-free too.
Oh, no.
I'm kidding.
Matt's waving at it again. But you had told me before you came in the last time that you were a cider person.
Yeah.
And you'd sort of stumbled into them when you were out in Alberta?
Yeah. So I'm not like the biggest beer person.
Right.
There's like a couple different beers I'll have. I'm not like a craft beer IPA person.
Yep.
And then when I went out to Alberta, covering the Flames, obviously, and I would hang out, I just decided to try ciders. And the cider that I'm actually holding in my hand right now, the Okanagan Cider and Beverage Company. Shout out to those guys.
Yeah.
They've got all these different great flavors. Just that was my first time trying it. And I know it's accessible at like LCBOs and stuff, but like my first time trying it was when I was out in Alberta, and I just kind of got into ciders from this brand. So
before that, was it like just a liquor guy? Like if you're not a beer guy, it was So
like I like a liquor rum and all that, right? Like I'd much rather, especially nowadays, like I'd much rather, if I'm gonna go out, I'll drink liquor, I'll drink like a cocktail or whatever. But like,
favorite cocktail?
I'm a Moscow Mule type of guy.
Okay.
Moscow Mule, rum and coke, like bourbon lemonade. Like I'm cool with stuff like that. But also like I love an Appleton Estate. Ray and nephew, I'm half Jamaican, so like I know I gotta rep that. One of the most fun experiences I've ever had. One of my sisters did a master's degree. It was supposed to be through the University of New Brunswick, but they had a kind of sports kind of program where it allowed my sister to do a year in Barbados. So I got to visit my sister in Barbados for a week, and the week we were there, she decided with her group of friends that we were going to visit this. We were going to do a rum distillery tour. Nice. So in Barbados, they have a rum company called Mount Gay, and we got to visit it and try all these different rums, and it was just an amazing time. I really enjoyed that experience. So yeah, I'd much rather like a rum or another like liqueur, I guess. But
See, I'm
not a beer guy.
Anywhere close to an aficionado. Like, I do enjoy a rum and Pepsi or something like that.
Yeah.
But because it's just getting buried in Pepsi, like, I don't care if it's bar rail or whatever. Like, I don't know the difference between a good rum and the price tag tells me the difference.
Yes,
but,
that's true.
But like, to just sit down and drink it, I don't know the difference between a good one. Like, my dad likes a nice rum. He's got one of his, it's a favorite. It's like, I don't know, like $200 a bottle or something like that. And so he doesn't have it all the time. But every now and then he'll get it, and then he'll be like, here, try this. And I'm like, you're wasting that on me, right? Like, I appreciate the offer, but this is a straight up waste. But a lot of people are like, I got a buddy who's a huge whiskey guy. Same thing. He'll be like, this is really nice. You should try this. And to me, it just burns the gizzards out of me. Like, I don't enjoy it. I don't like it. And I don't know the difference between what was a good one and what was a bad one. So
as long as it tastes good.
Well, this is it. Like, to me, I'm just going to have a Bacardi and Pepsi, and that'll be the end of it, right? But I do understand that that's the way a lot of people feel about beer. Like, beer's beer and whatever else. Whereas I have stuff I like and stuff I don't like, so everybody's got their own taste.
It's fine. It's okay. You're allowed to enjoy what you
100%,
want to
man.
enjoy. But all that to say, I appreciate you springing for the cider near. And there's a Liberty Village one too. So that's really cool. I've never tried Liberty Village, but that's really cool.
You've been making time for us now a couple of times. It was time for me to come through properly. There's always beer around here. There's not always cider or... Sorry, Matt Scooby. Not always seltzers, and I'm just glad we were able to get this done. There's a story behind this one, man, for me. And it's a bit of a mystery beer.
All right.
Yeah, there was no label on it. There was no nothing. And I knew who it came from.
Okay.
Back in the first week of August, before I took off for the rest of August, we had our friend Ian from the Whippersnapper Brewing Company.
Okay.
And he was teeing up Ottawa Craft Beer Week. And a bunch of the local breweries here in town, they sort of made this... Like, a scavenger hunt would be overstating it, but like, if you go to this brewery, you'll get a stamp, and we're doing this event on this night, and the next night a different brewery was doing something different, and it was sort of a way to try and perk up a little interest. I was surprised. I guess the second half of August is rough on the beer industry. Like, a lot of people have already disappeared to go camping or whatever else is going to go on. There's not many people in town, so they were trying to get people to come out, right, and support the industry and whatever else. So he had brewed a special beer, but when I got back from the cottage after a couple weeks, I'm looking around my fridge and I'm like, what the hell is in these mystery cans? When he brought it in to do the show, the labels weren't ready yet. And so he did tell me on the show what it was, but when I'm looking there in my fridge, I'm like,
you don't remember what it is?
No, I'm like, what are these? So I texted him, and I'm like, do you remember what you came in with that wasn't labeled? He's like, no, like, we do different beers here every week. How am I supposed to remember which one? I'm like, oh, now I'm just going to have to, like, I'll never know what this was. So I went back and I dug through our show, and he did say the name of it on the podcast, luckily. So I was able to rediscover this, but this is from the Whippersnapper Brewing Company. I believe it's pronounced Hipore.
Hipore.
This is Maori, the language from New Zealand, or the indigenous language of New Zealand. I don't want to butcher that too much. I'm probably out to lunch here. Hipauri, something like that. Anyway, it means community, which made sense in the context of the Ottawa Craft Beer Week. All these breweries teaming up to whatever else. So this is a Pacific Pale Ale, 5%. I'm going to give a shot here for... Well, I must have tried it with him that day, but now I've solved the mystery.
All right, let's pop these. Cheers, and I believe,
see you, man.
Yes, of course, and I believe, did you guys celebrate an anniversary this summer too?
Yeah,
happy anniversary!
At the end of May, yeah,
happy anniversary. Sorry, I wasn't able to take part in the festivities.
Yeah, no, I think you had already pieced back to Montreal, but we missed you there, man. Would have been great to see you, but appreciate the kind words there.
Of course.
What did you get up to for the summer? Look, we're going to talk about the book. We're going to talk about some Sens. We'll get into all of it. But how was your summer, man? What did you get up to?
It was good. Just so I have a grandmother on my dad's side of the family who's from Trinidad and Tobago, and she spent the summer with my fam, and I just took it as an opportunity to go back home, spend time with her, but also catch up with friends.
This was in Montreal?
This was in Montreal, yeah. So she was spending time with... Yeah, all my family's still over there, so I go visit them.
I just thought maybe you had a sweet trip to Trinidad and Tobago.
Not this summer. That was last summer.
Okay.
My grandmother turned 90 last summer. She's 91 now. So we did get to go see her and celebrate her birthday last summer. That was a really amazing time. But no, she did the return trip this year and came up to Montreal, and it was just good to see her. And she doesn't really get to move around that much, but it was just good to have her in a different environment. But yeah, Montreal was great. Hung out in Toronto a little bit. I went back to Calgary for a week.
Oh, yeah.
That was actually really fun.
Catch up and visit? Or
Yeah. Because I still have a lot of friends there, and I have a couple cousins who live in the city too. So yeah, it was really cool to go back there, catch up with friends, just see the sights again, look at the city I used to live in for 2 years. It was really cool. I basically just kept it to. Oh, actually, no, that's not true. I went to New Jersey for a wedding. I went to a bunch of weddings this year.
You're at that age, man.
Jeez, like all my friends are getting married. But no, it's a blessing to be a part of those. So yeah, I just tried to, I wouldn't say lay low, but I tried to just relax as much as I could. And then in August, like all these different stories kept popping up, and I ended up working a little bit more in August.
This is
than
it. Your name kept popping up.
Yeah, it was kind of weird.
Like, this guy's supposed to be on holiday. Are you just, it's the young guy, still the low man on the totem pole that's like, if hockey news breaks over the summer, they're going to make Julian do it?
I don't know. Like the arena thing
That's
popped
true,
up.
yeah.
So like
that was actually Sens news, yeah.
Yeah, that was genuinely Sens news.
Yep.
And then like almost every year since I've been at the Athletic, I've done some kind of like EA Sports NHL story.
Yeah.
So getting to talk to Matthew and Brady Tkachuk about that was really cool. And then I ended up writing about this event that the Hockey Diversity Alliance was putting on in Toronto. So I got to go there for that. And then before then, I got to talk to Nazem Kadri, and he let everyone know that, hey, maybe he should have been on that summer camp orientation camp with Team Canada.
Come home to Toronto. But that's a whole other thing.
Hey, if that's what you want, man.
That is what I want.
Go
it's
ahead,
a beefy
sir.
Contract, but I love that guy.
Go ahead, sir. I think he's great. I think the fact that he's still playing at a high level in his like mid 30s, like if I'm a cup contending team now and you could plug him into that lineup, like he has that edge, that snarl, and he gives a damn. Like I get it. I understand why Toronto, who's had him before and loves him.
It was that snarl that pushed him out of town, I think, was crossing that line.
But some of that snarl helped him win that cup with the Avs, man.
100%.
That run,
man.
I think we need to, like, I know obviously like there's so many other bits and pieces, but that particular run, Nazem Kadri, especially in that cup final, winning a game in overtime in that series, like we're gonna look back at that for a long time.
Well, even a team as elite as Colorado, they're still chasing his replacement. Like, how do we get that back into our lineup? They're not the same without him, right? Like, it wasn't Casey Middlestat. It wasn't. I don't know.
Didn't they have Charlie Coyle at one point?
Yeah. It hasn't worked. Right?
They miss Nas. I mean, like obviously Leafs fans are going to be much more numerous than Avs fans.
Sure.
But like you go to Colorado, that
they love that.
They
guy,
miss him.
Yeah.
They miss him.
Yeah. New Jersey, Calgary, Montreal.
Yeah. This was quiet.
Miles,
I've had people say like, "Oh man, you were going everywhere this summer." I'm like, this was tame.
Well, see,
this was tame. But I'm blessed, man. I'm blessed to have the opportunity to just kind of enjoy my summer.
I just went to Family Cottage and put my feet up and like.
I wish I could do that.
Well, see, I have no energy to do this type of summers you're doing, man. But yeah, your name kept popping up. Little stories would happen here or there that clearly got. If they were Sens related, obviously it made sense you'd have a handle on that. But yeah, there was clearly other things that were being handed to you. Seems like you've sort of got, for lack of a better term, the trust of the Athletic to handle some things over the summer. The CJ show was sorely missed, but back now. You guys are back at it.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know when this episode's dropping, but
next week.
Okay, so we'll have had, I guess, like 2, maybe 3 episodes by that point. We're back.
How often, you guys sort of talk before the season was over? Maybe if there's an emergency situation, we'll do a mid-summer pod. How often, it was a much quieter summer in terms of transactions, I think, than a lot of people expected. When you look back on it, it sort of makes sense. All of a sudden, everybody's got cap space, so nobody's squeezed and forced into doing anything. Is there anything, I'm sure you guys keep in touch, but was there any, is this worth a show? Is this worth it? Or was it just no, we're just going to cruise right through here?
It was definitely the latter. I think for both of us, obviously, if something happens and we have to do a summer pod or emergency show, like we're at the ready. And I'm in the chat.
If Kadri ends up back in Toronto, we'll have a big Leaf corner.
If like McDavid like signs like an 8-year extension, like whatever.
That's not what I want him to do. I thought you were going somewhere else.
No, no, but like obviously, like there were definitely moments where I'm looking around, and I mean it was so quiet. Like,
Yeah, it was.
You're wondering like, okay, like is this like enough of a thing? But also at the same time, like, you know, I tried to enjoy my summer as best as I could. CJ was doing his thing. Like we both benefited from having the summer off.
Sure.
I think just the fact that, you know, not only are we doing the pod, we both have our own respective personal lives and also our own hockey lives. Like CJ is an insider and he'll go to Leafs games, or I'm covering the Sens and sometimes I'll travel or whatever else they want me to do, I'll do. Like this isn't just like we're all like latching on to CJ and then we move with CJ. Like the cool thing about both of us is like we both operate independently.
Sure.
Independently, we have our own things to do. So yeah, I think we both benefited off the fact that we didn't have to do any episodes over the summer. And it's cool that with Steve Dangle at the helm and Adam Wilde and Jesse and stuff, like nobody was really pressuring us to really do anything in the summer. I'm pretty sure at one point, like we were just talking about like different stories that were kind of here and there, just about like not even just NHL stuff, but just sports stuff.
Yep.
And then the pod came up, and then I'm sure at some point one of those guys were like, "Yo, guys, just cruise the rest of August, man. Like you don't have to worry about like getting back on and trying to, you know, cobble stuff together, right?"
Yeah.
Like I don't know. I like that.
Do you ever totally unplug? Like, obviously, you got through the summer without having to do any emergency shows.
Yeah.
But, like, I do find myself on, like, August 9th just scrolling Twitter, looking for some sort of, the Sharks re-signed this RFA that no one's ever heard of, right? Like, yeah, I never... Even while I'm sitting up there at the cottage, like, I will put the emails on silent or some of the texts and stuff like that. But I need like a little injection of just something hockey. Are you able to totally unplug, or are you still looking around over the summer like a sicko? Like
I look around, but also like I'm into other sports too.
Yeah.
So like when I'm on Twitter or I'm on social media, I'm not specifically just hoping that like the Ottawa Senators.
Guy? Did they keep you alive?
So my baseball relationship is weird.
Okay.
So I like the Jays. I would not say I'm a fan.
Okay.
Because growing up in Montreal, I would have been an Expos fan. I'm still waiting on them to come back. I can't wait to see what that documentary on Netflix on them is
just
about.
Announced Who Killed the Montreal Expos?
Yeah,
I think it's called. Yeah, coming out in October.
I want to watch that. But like, I'm happy that the Jays are successful.
Sure,
and I understand their role as Canada's team.
Yeah,
begrudgingly a little bit, but also at the same time, like. It is what it is. I'm not going to hate.
It's Toronto. They were going to declare themselves Canada's team either way.
I mean, you know, you go back through history. There's other things. There's other reasons why that's the case too. But I think it's still cool that the Jays surprising everybody at the beginning of the year. Remember, everyone was wondering if Vladimir Guerrero Jr. was going to sign, and then he signs, and then all of a sudden they go on this wild ride. And it's always great when the games matter and you see more and more people. Just get behind
things, right?
that team.
With baseball being every day,
exactly.
It can sweep people in fast who sort of come in and out on baseball or come in and out on the Jays. But when you have a summer like they did, it feels a little different. Like people are more engaged and plugged in. It sounds like your relationship with the Jays is similar right now to mine with the Broncos.
Okay.
I'm at best a casual NFL fan. I watch big games while I'm editing on Sunday nights, the Monday morning show. The NFL is always on. Mm-hmm. But it's been a long time since I've had a favorite team. And I don't even know that I had a favorite team. I really liked Peyton Manning. So when he was there, I liked the Colts. And then when he went to Denver, I followed him there. And then he retired. And I was like, And I still watch it. I still enjoy it. But I don't have a team. But just based on like remnants or old feelings, I'll still check in on the Broncos. And they've been bad for a while now. But I'm still interested.
They're okay.
They're okay
they made
now.
The playoffs last year.
That's right.
Bo Nix isn't that bad.
No. And I do like him. He gave a quote last year that still makes me laugh to this day. And someone asked him about an interception he'd thrown, and he'd clearly had enough of answering that question.
Yeah.
And they were just like, what happened on that play where you threw the interception? He's like, stepped back, threw the ball to the wrong team. That was that. Good for you, man. Yeah, that is what happened. So I like him.
Can't say he's not straightforward.
No, and I like them, but I'm not heartbroken when they lose. I'm not over the moon when they win. It's just sort of the team I sort of keep an eye on. Right? Yeah.
And also, I'll say this too. When I was younger, I cared a little bit more about the New York Yankees too.
Oh.
Just because, like, growing up, a lot of fans, a lot of people I knew were like Red Sox fans.
Yeah,
and like I can't.
That's gross too.
I couldn't do that.
Yeah,
so I was just like, I'll just root for the Yankees. So
anything Boston's gross. Man.
I can't root for the Red Sox. I can't dismiss all of Boston. Like,
I can.
I think like
I always used to say, as a Jays fan, I hate the Red Sox. As a Leaf fan, I obviously hate the Bruins.
Yeah, I had my days as a younger
Habs fan. Yeah, you would have.
Yeah,
as well.
the Canadians Bruins, those rivalries, those games were really intense. Now that I'm not a fan of any team, it's like I look at the Bruins a little differently. Like I got to go to TD Garden, like a year, 2 years ago, and like just being in the building, I was like, wow, like this is a great building. And then and I know we'll get to the book, but like writing about Willie O'Ree, like I developed a little bit more of an appreciation for the Bruins playing a part in Black hockey history. So I don't have that. My relationship with the Bruins is a little different now.
Well, but like
it's a little bit more refined now.
The Patriots, like I hated Tom Brady. They were so good for so long. Like everything about Boston, and I've never been much of a basketball guy, but I always, if I liked the NBA more, I'd hate the Celtics too.
There was a period of time where like I rooted for the Celtics because I was not a fan of Kobe Bryant.
Oh, okay.
And remember those guys played against each other in the finals at least twice in my lifetime.
Yeah.
Well, obviously they have a longer history where they
Kevin
played
Garnett.
like more.
Possible.
But in the Kevin Garnett, Kobe Bryant era,
Yeah.
there's like two distinct NBA finals that stand out, and they got one up on the other. But like, I was a Kobe Bryant hater, and so like I was like, all right, fine, I'll root for Kevin Garnett and Ray Allen to get the job done.
You mentioned the book there, man. We should get into it because this was tremendous. I saw you tweeted this out. It's been a couple months now, I think, since you posted about it.
Yeah.
It's called Black Aces. It's coming out in
February 3rd.
Why am I trying to correct you? You know this.
I wrote the damn book.
Look, this is tremendous, man. And I'm sort of curious how long before you got started that this idea had been on your mind, because you're kind of young to write a book, it feels like. But you are in a unique perspective. You have covered this game for a while. I assume most people know this, but you are black.
Yep.
Yeah. Maybe not everybody does. You listen to podcasts, you read a guy, you don't. I guess there's the headline pictures or whatever they call it. What do they call it in the news industry, man?
Headshots.
The photo. The
Headshots. Photos.
The bylines.
The bylines.
It's what I was looking for.
Sorry, my bad.
But you're
see
right.
the what? Did you see the name? Just like, I don't know.
What? What do I know, man? I'm just. I feel like I'm.
I appreciate it.
Treading in a bad area.
Oh, you're good. No, but I understand.
Yeah.
But no, I'll say this with Black Aces. For those who don't know, it's a book on black hockey trailblazers, black hockey players, black hockey personalities, and I had the opportunity to just write a series of profiles, and it was just an idea that it's weird to say it came to me, because I think there have been other people in the past who have tried to do similar concepts, but I don't know if people have done it at least like as expansive as mine is, where you're going to have male players and female players. Like we've seen other, like William Douglas, I think does a great job with the Color of Hockey blog, where he profiles all these great different stories, but like that's off a blog.
Yeah.
But like I shouldn't just say blog too. Like he does all that work for NHL.com and he's great at it. But yeah, I think just to do an entire book and to be able to,
you can hold in your hand and put on your coffee table.
Yeah,
or
at
on
least
your
to
bookshelf.
at least to this extent, where you have like in the book, like Willie O'Ree, like even if I didn't directly get to talk to Willie, but like getting to like outline his story, or like Herb Carnegie, who is the best black player to never make it into the NHL, or Anson Carter, or Grant Fuhr.
And the speech when Herb Carnegie went into the Hockey Hall of Fame, that was it was just wonderful, right? Like just the energy coming out of it and the positivity, and it was so good. Obviously, it wasn't him, but that I remember watching that and just like, this is a family that is so, you know better than me, the word like, but positive, so like pushing in the right direction. We're not going to focus on all the injustices, which are worth focusing on. There have been but that's not where that speech was going to go, right? And the NHL seems to have more recently embraced like for a long time we've heard about Willie O'Ree, and rightfully so, but there does seem to be more attention on Herb Carnegie recently than there had been in the past.
Yeah, I think just in researching him and going back in his autobiography, A Fly in a Pail of Milk, it's interesting actually because like
it's a great title as well.
Yeah, I think like especially in recent years where you have like fans or people who have become aware of his story, who want to bring awareness in the Carnegie family. And you start with Bernice, his daughter, who's done a great job through the Carnegie Initiative to encourage diversity and inclusion in the game, and also just.
And I should have said that's who gave the speech,
right? Bernice, yeah, and no, I think it's look, Herb Carnegie is just somebody that if you're into hockey, white or black, you should just know his story and to know why he's in the Hockey Hall of Fame. And I can understand too. That if you look at his story and you think like, oh, well, you know, he should have been in the league or they should have found a way to include him in the Hockey Hall of Fame while he was still alive. But I think for him to be as dominant as he was playing in semi-pro leagues, even to the point where you have like Jean Béliveau as like a teammate wondering like, well, why isn't this guy playing?
Yeah.
Like that's a story that people should know about, and him playing on an all black line, which has only been replicated a handful of times since. At the pro level, you go through like even at the university level, it's happened before. But like, I think his story, and I hope my chapter does him justice. But like, I think he has a story worth knowing, regardless of what skin color you are or what your background is in the league. I think just the more you inform yourself on some of the people who have made a hockey life for themselves, the more you inform yourself on those people, the better you are. So yeah, I hope people, when they read the book when it comes out in February, they get to enjoy that chapter. I think of all the chapters I wrote in that book, like that's the one where I put a lot into that. I'll say that.
Yeah. I'm curious, since I have pushed us all over the place here, how far in advance had the idea been kicking around in your mind that this is something you might like to do?
I'd wanted to write a book since I was like a little kid.
Oh wow!
And then like even in my like yearbook in elementary school, there's like a photo of me, and every kid gets like, okay, what jobs do you want to do in the future? Sure. And like you would have like my face, and then you see journalist, author. Like I knew that from when I was a kid. In 2023, I might as well give you the whole story.
Sure.
In 2023, August 2023. I was still in Alberta. I had to cover Bill Peters getting a gig with the Western Hockey League team in Lethbridge.
Right.
And like I drove from Calgary down to Lethbridge. It was like a 2-hour drive. I covered that whole thing. I wrote a whole column about it. And
he had been recently accused of mistreating
so
under his watch.
So Akim Aliu was like the player for context with Bill Peters, for those who don't remember the story. When Bill Peters was coaching in the American Hockey League somewhere around 2009, 2010.
The Chicago system, I believe.
Yes, with Rockford.
Yeah.
Akim Aliu, who was a player in the system at the time, was being coached under Bill Peters. And there was an instance where they're in the locker room and like essentially like rap music is playing.
Yep.
And Bill Peters walks in and he starts saying a bunch of racial slurs and expletives. Mm-hmm. Akim Aliu obviously is trying to, report that to his superiors, but ultimately nothing really happens. And then years later, Akim Aliu brings this up on Twitter, and that leads to an investigation of some sort while Bill Peters was coaching the Calgary Flames, and then eventually gets to a point where he's gone. So
far be it for the Chicago Blackhawks to ignore important warnings, but
so for Peters, years after that, he ended up coaching in the KHL, and then in 2023 he gets this opportunity to coach a Western Hockey League team, the Lethbridge Hurricanes. Mm-hmm. Some of the people around the league and around the organization, they've known Bill Peters from his time previously coaching the WHL, so that's just like an easy way for him to get in.
The old boys club.
They say that there were all these different seminars and there's a lot of listening and learning. That's what they say happened with Bill Peters.
Yep.
But before the press conference begins, Akim puts out a tweet saying that an NHL coach, tried to broker an apology on behalf of Bill
Right.
to Akeem. And that's as far as, like, I chopped it up with Akeem a couple weeks ago. That is apparently the only time from that incident to now where Bill has tried to apologize. Yeah. And Bill, at the press conference, is all like, yeah, like, I look forward to the day when I will apologize to Akeem. Akeem has told me that has not happened to this point, and that's as of like last month.
Okay.
Anyway, like that whole story, it's out there. You can read about it. The reason why I'm bringing it up is because after the column, about 2 days later, the agent I'm working with, Brian Wood, reached out to me. He said he liked the column, and he asked me if I had any thoughts about writing a book, particularly on race and hockey. And I wasn't really sure at that point. I didn't really feel that comfortable about just. I wasn't sure what to do in terms of a book in that realm, and I wasn't sure if there were other topics. At first, I kind of wanted to go away from that. I wanted to see if I could pitch like another type of book, but then the idea of essentially what's Black Aces now just kind of came to my head, and I thought, well, it'd be cool at least to reach out to a couple different people, see if they'd be willing to be profiled and have their hockey lives told, and try to tell all these different stories. And next thing you know, I'm putting together an outline, and Brian is selling it to a couple different publishing companies, and then February 2024, that's when I got the book deal done with Triumph. They're a publishing company based out of Chicago, and I mean, I think before that point too, I'd kind of started a little bit of writing and some interviews, but at that point, February 2024, it was official, and then I was just putting it together. Yeah.
Was it always, I guess you've sort of answered this, but in your mind, as you're swirling around and not sure if this is the angle you want to take, do you have a different story in mind? Like, how long does it take you to get to the idea, like, yeah, actually, if it was profiles, like maybe that would be an interesting angle to come at it with? Like, how does the book actually take its shape?
Honestly, man, I tried to think of all these different ideas. Nothing was really coming to my head, and then I was in the shower one day and it just came to my head. I don't know why. I don't know if you experience this too, but like some of the best thoughts. Oh yeah, the best thoughts you get to just have, best ideas just come to you in the shower.
Problem is they're gone by the time I get out. I don't hold on to them.
In this case, I was like, oh wow, okay, like let me see if this could work. Yeah. And then like I had an outline of all these different people I wanted to profile, and I did reach out to a couple different people and tried to see if they'd be interested in it. And then over time, like you lose touch with certain people, and other people pop up, and other opportunities manifest themselves. And like I had an initial list of people I wanted to profile, and then over time it just morphed into something completely different and better, to be quite honest with you. But yeah, I remember I forget which month it happened, but I remember approaching Jerome McGinley about being in the book, and I remember being like terrified, because in my head I'm like, if Jerome McGinley says no to this, like this project cannot happen. Like there's
that's
just
a huge name to be neglected.
There's
not
no
neglected. That's the wrong word, but you know what I'm saying. To not be a part of this,
I could write a chapter on him and not have him in there, and like have other people talk about him. But like at the time, living in Calgary, he's there. Like I see him at practices and stuff. I'm like I gotta ask, but I had never felt more terrified in my life. And then I remember just like walking up to him and being like, yeah, so hi, my name's Julian, and just I was just umming like every 30 seconds, and then I was just like, yeah, I want to write. Yeah, I was like, I wanted to, like, not just a legend, like I watched him growing up, he's a legend. And then like when he said yes to, when he agreed to be interviewed for the book, like I was just. At first, I was like, really? Like, you really want to do this? I just couldn't believe it.
So was that the first time you've spoken to him? Like, even covering other Flames events and stuff? You never run into him?
That was the second time, because I think the year before, there was some event going on, and this was just before Craig Conroy got hired as GM, where I got to do, like, a sit-down with him, and I was like, oh, like, this is sick.
With Conroy,
No, not just with Conroy, with McGinley.
Okay, sorry.
Because, like, this was just before Conroy got hired, and, like, we were... I forget what event Jerome was doing, but we met, me and another reporter, we met with him there, and we asked him, of course, like, so do you think your buddy's going to be the GM of the team, and all this other stuff. But yeah, that wasn't technically the first time I had spoken to him, but like for a project of that magnitude, I was just like like, like this has to work. And not only did Jerome give me his time, he was exceptional answering questions. He has the forward for the book, so like I'm really, really happy.
So he's all in.
Yeah, he's all in on that. So I'm really happy about Jerome's involvement with the project.
When you're doing something like this, and certainly, obviously, you don't have to name names, but was there anyone that you reached out to who was either hesitant or altogether didn't want to be a part of it, or was it pretty unanimously, yeah, no, I'm happy to talk, let's do this?
There were. I'm not going to say names, but
no,
for different specific reasons, there are people in the book that I profiled who I do not have them, I guess, directly.
Yeah.
And there are a few people in the book who, you know, I would have loved to have done like a proper like 1 hour and a half sit down with them to talk about whatever. But you kind of have to get a bit creative, and you know, you see a media availability where this person's at, and then you hop into that, and then you see what questions you can get in, what answers you can get. But the cool thing about basically everybody that I've profiled in this book is all the different voices you'll get to hear from who speak glowingly of them. Like Angela James, that's someone who I needed in the book. I believe the only thing I can really say about them is that they were under contract for some other project, so they were not able to be interviewed for it. But like, that's somebody who I needed in that book, and getting to talk to Cheryl Pounder or Cassie Campbell Pascal
about Angela
James.
Yeah.
I think Digit Murphy is also in that chapter too. Yeah. Having people like Sarah Nurse also say like, wow, like I wish I would have known about Angela James growing up. That would have changed my whole trajectory.
This is like the best player in the world in women's hockey before it bursts on the scene.
Exactly.
Like, she is the trailblazer.
Yeah, like and compared to almost everyone else who I've profiled in this book, and that's most people, I get it, but like, if I want to find a Jerome McGinley highlight reel on YouTube, I can find it.
Right.
If I want to find Anson Carter scoring the gold medal winning goal of the 2003 World Championship, I can find it.
There's something about that goal,
yes,
about Dave Randorf's call as well. It's around and it's in the net.
Yeah, it's an excellent play. It's an excellent call.
It's the wraparound, and is it in or isn't it? And he knows it's in, but we got to wait forever.
We have to wait like 10 minutes for that.
That is probably, for me, the most memorable World Championship goal I've ever watched because of all those circumstances, right? I there's just something about, I don't know, I watch Worlds most years, but they come and go. They're sort of interchangeable. I don't remember. There's something about that goal that sticks with you for some reason.
Right. Yeah. But my ultimate point is you could find that. Yeah. But like Angela James, you can't find as many any of her accomplishments like on wax, like on
something
YouTube.
that happened in 1995 in women's hockey hasn't been uploaded. It's not there. Probably wasn't filmed.
No.
Right?
I mean, even I remember talking to Gord Miller about this. Like some of the world championships that they were airing, the women's worlds, like they wouldn't even air all of the games. Yeah. Like that's like unheard of now. If you're covering that tournament, like even if you're going to watch like Sweden versus Slovakia, like
it's all up there.
It'll be there.
Yeah.
But like there were games in that tournament that were not even aired. So yeah, I think it was really fascinating to just throughout my research process to realize how Angela James's legacy is it's not nearly as accessible compared to so many other players in hockey history, and to have other people who I was speaking to for her chapter validate that, like that was super, super interesting. But that was somebody who I knew, even if I wasn't going to get her directly, I could not do the book without her being in it. And there are going to be other people too who, like, I know when the book comes out and people see the full list of people who are in the book, like I know I'm going to have people ask me like, well, why isn't this person in this book featured with a chapter? Or what about that person? Or what about this player? Or what about that guy? My hope is that the book, at the very least, even if there are guys who don't have full chapters, there are still enough stories where those players are mentioned where you could say like, okay, well, yeah, like at least even if you don't have a chapter on insert player here, this player played a role in this moment, like, or at least a fun story was told about this person. Like one guy who came up,
volume 2.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. If you read the book and you are mad that insert player is not here, please tag the publishing company Triumph on whatever social media platform you have and tell them, hey, I want a book that has these people in it. Like, get mad at me if you want, but also get mad at the people who are publishing the book.
The book can only be so long. Right?
Yeah,
I can't put them all on the first go.
Yeah, I hope I answered the initial question, but like, I felt that like just look, hockey at the end of the day, I get it. It's a predominantly white sport, but at the same time, if you look through time, you look through history of the history of the sport, you will find black people, and not just Jerome McGinley and Grant Fuhr and the biggest names. You will find even smaller names who still turn into fantastic, amazing personalities worth watching, worth paying attention to, and worth learning their stories about.
And in the show notes here, we will link to a couple different places where you can pre-order the book. But before we move off this, I also want to ask you, was there anybody that you reached out to that said, yes, I'm going to talk, that blew you away or was pleasantly surprising with, like, this person is so into this, or this person hooked me up with a couple more contacts, or like, I can't believe how many great stories this particular person had that was like, all of this was great, but like this one stands out to me as like, that was really fun. That was really awesome.
That's a good question. I don't know if I had anyone who was like super in it where they were like, oh, you need to talk to these people. You need to talk to these people. I would say if I'm thinking of somebody who maybe surprised me with the stories that they had or the way that they were into it in terms of just the enthusiasm, Georges Laraque.
Okay.
I think of all the people I write about in the book, like Jerome McGinn, like the first black male athlete to win a winter gold medal.
Right.
Or
which is just a wild
title
cool to hold. Of course.
Right.
Like that's,
or like,
how did we get to 2002?
Yeah.
Not happening.
Or like Anson Carter scores game-winning goal in the 2003 World Championship. Yeah. Or like Sarah Nurse being a dominant player and being a face
leading
for
the
hockey.
Olympics in points.
Georges Laraque, I had so much fun with that because he was just he's a very high energy guy, and I don't know how much I want to say about that chapter, but I'll say this. A lot of people, when you think of Georges Laraque, there's like a particular thing you think about him being a fighter and all that. Mm-hmm. I try not to delve into it as much. Like, it's very much there in the chapter. Sure. But like, the thing I focus on with him is this like really fun, specific moment, which like if I say what it is, you're going to be like, no way he did that. No way he did that. But to hear George talk about that moment and remember all these different little mini stories attached to it.
Right.
I was like, yeah, this has to be, I want to write about it, because he's talked about it before about how fighting is not like, he had to be a fighter. It's not something that like he took so much joy in doing, but it's obviously something that's closely tied to his legacy. It is him essentially.
Yeah.
But like, it's super cool to learn about his hockey life. And unfortunately, some of the racial struggles he went through coming up and trying to play the sport and the unfortunate stories of racism, like that was tough to hear and tough to research. But to hear about his climb, getting to the Edmonton Oilers, cracking a lineup and establishing himself as one of the sport's most prominent personalities. Yep. Like, not to bring up Sarah Nurse again, but like, I remember she told me a story about how when she was younger and they'd play NHL video games, like that was a character that like they'd try to play Oilers teams so they could be Georges Laraque.
Sure,
like,
yeah.
That's someone that a lot of younger players, maybe in my generation particularly, when they were watching the game of hockey, they're like, yeah, Georges Laraque, he's great. I want to be like that guy. Like, I think for him, his enthusiasm, the story I tell in that chapter, the stories that are told of him in that chapter, I had a lot of fun with it because, trust me, when you see like all the other names that are there, you see all the different accomplishments, and then you'll see George, and you're like, wait, you're gonna focus on this? Like, this is interesting, and then you'll see it, and then you'll understand like why. Like,
It's like this when we think of any tough guy in the NHL. They first had to be an elite player to even get there, right? To even, I get this far and I'm good enough to be an NHL player. And now, I maybe don't love fighting, but that's the way I'm going to stick in this league.
Yeah.
It happens to a lot of these guys. But you still had to be great enough to get there first.
To your point, though, like, I think more so now, I think it's been more of a recent thing where when you step onto when you're on the ice at a training camp roster and you're trying to make a team, you're looking around at all these guys who at some point were the best players on their respective teams.
Yeah.
Compared to like decades earlier in hockey, where if you just establish yourself as like a goon and you beat the crap out of people in junior, you're getting drafted purely off of that. I think there is an element of that. Like, look through some of the biggest goons in NHL history, the biggest enforcers in NHL history, and look at their junior stats, look at their minor league stats, and then look at their penalty minutes. And then you're going to see it, and you're going to be like, well, this guy wasn't like scoring like 75 goals in a season.
Right,
he wasn't that dominant.
There are multiple like a Nick Kiprios who did score a lot and then got there and went, only one way to stick around.
There are guys who have
You're right,
that.
though. You're right.
Absolutely. But I think there were just as many people back then who
were goons on ice, and that's how I'm.
Yeah, they transitioned to that early enough where it's like, okay, well, we have to draft this guy. This guy, no one's going to mess with this guy. I think there is an element of that. And I think George, like, I don't think he wanted to go down that track, but he ended up kind of having to. And then he made the career that he made.
It's interesting, you point out Sarah Nurse and people identifying that, like, in the video game, it's I want to be that guy. And we all had those moments with our favorite players and things like that when you played the games. But like this dates back to or circles back to something that the women's hockey movement has used for. If you can see it, you can be like someone has to show you that this person has made it, and you can make it too. And I get it. Like sometimes if you're a grown man and you're watching these things, some of it sounds a little cheesy. It has to happen. It has to be there. Someone has to show you that it's not just 700 white men in this league and women will never play, black players will never play. No, here's a black man who has made it that far. You've sort of outlined in the book one who led the league in goals in Jerome McGinley. Sarah Nurse has led the Olympics in points. George Laraque can wring somebody's neck and still be one of the biggest stars in the in his prime, his charisma was as much as
1,000%.
Anything else. Like his personality, you
1,000%.
wanted to see his post-game interview.
Exactly. Right? That was like someone you wanted to hear from. That was someone you wanted to watch play. And like whether he was in Pittsburgh, whether he was in Montreal, whether he was in Phoenix.
He was in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, he was in Pittsburgh. Edmonton, like obviously
I think of him in Edmonton and Montreal are the two
1,000%
prominent ones for me.
Yeah, I'm not sure why Pittsburgh came up first.
It's odd, man.
Yeah, that was weird. But no, Edmonton for sure. But like I think for the sport of hockey where having personality is like against the grain so much, having a player like George Laraque like made a huge difference for so many people who wanted to get into the sport but just struggled to see people who looked like them. That's not insignificant. And I know we're at a time where people want to go away from DEI and stuff like that, and they think like, oh, like why do we care so much about it? It still matters to people. Representation absolutely matters.
It has to be there. It just that's the only way that the next kid is going to look and go, oh, okay, I could do it too.
Okay, I could do this. Like, and then there's a whole other conversation to be had about making the sport even more accessible in terms of costs and equipment and stuff like that. And even in the book, you'll hear stories of guys like Hansen and Jerome, just whatever money's being spent on them to play the game and where they got their equipment and jerseys from. Like, there's a lot of really random stories, but like that's how people got into the game. They find their way, they stick, and then they become stars.
So hit me again, the full title, the release date, everything about it, man.
Black Aces, coming out February 3rd, 2026. You can buy it. You can pre-order it now wherever books are sold. This is the first time I've ever written a full book, and I put a lot into that project, and I can't wait until it's out. And when I get the book printed, even like before it's out, like when I get to hold it in my hand, I know I'm going to feel a lot of different feelings, but I can't wait until other people get to read it too.
This is why the man needed a break this summer. He's been working hard.
I was proofreading that book this summer, man. Everyone thought like, oh man, you're just partying. Like when I wasn't doing that, I had my laptop. I was like hanging out with my grandmother in like the living room, and she's like doing these little like word search puzzles and stuff, and I just have my laptop next to me, just like proofreading and like trying not to rewrite the whole damn book.
Our friend, you probably follow him on Twitter, Mike Comito, hockey historian.
Shout out, Mike.
Yeah. He's been on the show a bunch of times, and he said there's just nothing like that feeling that when you hold it in your hand for the first time.
I can't wait, man. Dog, I can't wait. You like y'all are gonna be sick of me when I get that book in my hand. But when I have that book in my hand, I'm gonna post photos of it. I'm gonna hold that thing. I'm gonna pose with it.
You're gonna sign one and bring it over here.
Yes, absolutely. The thing I'm looking forward to the most is when I get a copy and I can go home to my parents and give each of my parents, my sisters, 2 copies of the book, and my grandmother 2. I want to. This one means a lot.
100%, man. Congratulations on it.
Thank you. It's
amazing that this is happening. We'll hope you'll come back over here when it's a little closer to release
absolutely.
date. Talk a little more about it.
Absolutely.
One of the things that popped up, I guess it was last week on Twitter, that you threw down in the replies exactly what I had been thinking, was people complaining about the new NHL video game soundtrack. And just in the break there, you and I were talking a little music. But I always felt like it was a cool place to just stumble across new music, because you won't remember this, you young lad, but there was a day when it was just the same generic Nintendo music playing in the background while you made your trades and while you went through the menus and set your lineup.
I'm just laughing at you, young lad.
Well,
you young whippersnapper.
You wouldn't even have been
You
here,
don't
man.
remember NHL 94.
Back in the day.
You don't remember the basic generic. I remember the days of NHL 2000 where it was just like 3 songs. Now we have people complaining about 30 song soundtracks.
I remember, for me, man, it's around 99, 2000, 2001. Real songs start creeping in. The number of them starts to... And for me, as a, pretty run-of-the-mill, generic, boring little white kid, I'm like, hey, Treble Charger. Hey, Gob. Hey, Sum 41.
Hey, Queens of the Stone Age.
These things start to creep onto my radar, and I'm like, I kind of like this. And it helps for a little while form my, musical tastes. And as it goes on and I become more firm in my musical tastes and the new games come out, you're like, all right, this isn't necessarily for me, but it's fine, right? There's Paramore ends up on there, different things like that as we get into 07,
Misery
08,
Business is
09.
one of the best
man.
NHL songs they've used.
That's right. And yet, almost all of them, when I first heard them, you can't get U2 on the NHL video game. You can't get the biggest acts in the world. You're almost always going to get acts that are trying to establish themselves, and this is a way to get in front of one more audience, right? Get in front of a new... And so this year, it happens again, man. They put out, as a tease before the game comes out, here's the soundtrack. And the replies immediately fill with, I don't know any of these people. And you're like, it's kind of the point. Why can't you just enjoy that? Why can't that be?
We
a
have
thing
too many
for
options, man. We're spoiled. I think maybe it's the wrong thing to say, but I'll just say it anyway. I think we're just spoiled because now we're just at a point now where we have all these options and we have Spotify. We have all these different ways of listening to all these different artists. And back in the day where you had NHL 2000. Let me think of a specific game, 2003, where some of those bands mentioned, you could only hear some of those songs
NHL
in the
2003,
game.
there was a band called Brand New.
Yes.
That had a song called The Quiet Things That No One Ever Knows. Look at this guy. That was probably before you were born.
2003?
I know.
That was definitely one of the first.
I would never have stumbled across Brand New had it not been in that game. And to this day, I still have that song in my music collection. I like that song.
That's awesome.
And allow yourself. The example I gave last week when I was talking to my co-host Rob about this was NHL 07. Had a song called Sticks and Stones by the band Anti-Flag.
Mm-hmm.
And I already loved Anti-Flag. So I was pumped that they made, but they weren't a big band. They weren't a popular band. And I was so excited that all of a sudden all these new people were going to hear this band for the first... Now, since then, the lead singer of Anti-Flag has turned out to be a very, very not good person. So, but as an example, right? And it just bums me out that everyone now is just suddenly like, nope, don't know them, screw it.
Yeah, or I don't know. I think people just have. Maybe saying they're spoiled, or maybe saying that they have too much choice is the wrong way to go about it. But
Did you expect EA Sports to program 30 of your favorite songs for you?
And also, like, if you really don't want to hear any of that stuff, you could always just put it on mute and then play whatever song you want to hear in the background. But I also share the same experience with you as, like, a young kid coming up, living in a hockey mad market. All your friends at school, not only are they watching hockey, like, they're all playing the NHL video game.
Yes.
And, like, I didn't have a game console growing up until, like mid-teens, when like when we got like a Nintendo Wii.
Sure.
Right? And like, I'm not playing any NHL video games on that, but I was a big PC gamer.
Yeah.
And like, I would like beg my mom to like buy an NHL, even if it wasn't like the latest one. Like, I wanted like an NHL video game I could just play on my own time. And appreciating the different songs that would be played on those video games. Like,
I think on that same 07 one I'm talking, there's a song called Montreal Call.
Yeah, by Mobile.
Mobile, that's
Montreal band.
Yeah.
But they're all these
fun songs.
They're great
also
songs.
now in my collection that I wouldn't have probably heard otherwise.
Like 2003, like Queens of the Stone Age, I still consider them as like one of my favorite bands.
Yeah.
And like hearing No One Knows off that game.
That's
like,
right.
That made me a fan of the band. Paramore, like Misery Business in 08, like that was my entry point to that band.
Little Fall Out Boy dropped in there at some point.
Or like because the Fall Out Boy was in 06.
Yeah, I think that's right. Yeah.
Our lawyer made us change the name of this song so we wouldn't get sued.
Look at the memory on this guy.
2005, Franz Ferdinand, Take Me Out, which I think was also in another like EA Sports game too.
Yeah.
Like, that's another cool thing too. Like, some of these bands and songs, there were crossovers into like other EA Sports games too. So like, if you had the NHL game that year and you had like a Madden game that year and you heard like, it doesn't have to be the same song but the same band, you're like, oh, these guys must be sick. Like, that was just like a good entry point.
Most of these
into
bands
learning about
at that
songs.
time hadn't quite popped yet. They're just simmering below the surface, and you're like, you feel like, I knew that one right before they blew up. You're like, I already knew those.
And
bands.
a lot of those bands, like just the licensing of their music to those things, like they thrive off that. But like, they enjoyed the fact that like they'll have fans come up to them and be like, "Oh, your song was in NHL 2005."
Yeah.
I don't know how many other Sugar Cult songs I know, but like when I hear Memory, I'm like, that's from that game.
Fuck, I love that song.
That's a great song. It's a great.
That's like
That's 05. That's
Okay.
2005.
Yeah.
That's Marcus Naslund on the cover.
Yeah. This guy.
But like, jeez, my music, like NHL
Autopilot off. Is
That's 04.
Okay, but
That's
I'm just
04.
saying, like, I stumble across that band in these games. It was so fun, man. And like, to this day, you can go on Spotify or Apple Music, and someone has created a playlist that's just NHL 04 or NHL
07,
and it has all those songs in, man.
Like,
it's incredible.
I don't know, man. I think just.
And it takes you back.
It
right?
does.
Like, because I can remember in 07 sitting around. We used to do all the time before we'd go out when I was in college at the house there that we were renting. We'd just do shootouts. The winner gets to keep his controller. The loser has to just over and over and over. This was the first time they had shootouts in the game.
Yeah.
But the whole time, that soundtrack is playing in the background. And so it takes you back to that time and that place. Like, fuck, that was fun. Right?
Yeah,
like,
man. So, you know what? Like, I think it's just.
It doesn't have to be for you.
It's okay, man. Like, just if you don't want the music playing, you can mute all of them and play whatever music you want.
Right.
But I very much.
But open your mind.
I love.
Allow it in.
But I love the usage of soundtracks in video games, particularly sports video games, and like. You watch a trailer for a game and you're like, oh my God, like this song is in it, like this is amazing. Or which game is it? NHL 98 or 99 where David Bowie is like the intro, like so Heroes, fun. Like that
Heroes
brings chills down your spine. Like that gets.
I'm putting it in here again, good listener. Rob brought that up last week on the show. NHL 99, David Bowie, We Can Be Heroes, Jim Hewson's Great Save Joseph. It's a classic.
Yeah, it's
video,
classic,
man. It's
very
perfect.
Very classic. Like
game.
Stuff like that is what made video games fun. Yeah. Like, I don't know, man. We got to get back to a time when video games were fun to play. I know there's some that are still fun now, but especially with the NHL series, there's just so much like negativity and criticism around the franchise for different, I guess,
and that's
valid
just when
reasons.
you put on your headset and listen to the stuff being thrown.
I guess, yeah. But like, nah, man. It's all good for people to talk about soundtracks. That's something I'm passionate about and I've written about before.
Coming back to the Sens after that little tangent.
I didn't expect to spend that long.
Well, you know what?
That worked out.
That's the way things happen on this show sometimes. I'm sort of curious what you will be keeping an eye on that maybe might be off the average hockey fan's radar. Whether it'll be something that the team is doing or trying to implement, whether it'll be a specific player, comments that you might hear from Travis Green when camp opens up in full. What is it that you'll be looking for?
Wow. I'll be looking at a bunch of different things. I think the obvious storyline for everybody is who's playing top line minutes with Tim Stützle on the right-hand side, and if Fabian Zetterlund is going to be that guy who's going to stick there. I've had fans ask me questions about, is Shane Pinto, are they going to move him off the center position and play him on the wing? I think with the way the Sens are built, I'd much rather see them be strong down the middle versus moving Pinto to the wing and then moving Ridley Gregg at center. Nothing against Ridley Gregg. Sure. I think he's a heck of a player.
He could do it probably.
But why are you doing that?
Pinto just came out of a Team USA Olympic invite as a center, and you want to move him?
I think what fans want, I think fans see what Shane Pinto has done in the short amount of time he's played with the Ottawa Senators, and they think that he's destined for like a second line center role or something a little bit more beyond that. Whereas for me, I'm like, he got you 20 goals as a third center. Yeah. He's already getting trusted with really good defensive minutes against some of the league's best players. Why break what's not... Unless he overwhelmingly shows you that he should be playing higher in the lineup, why break
let me put
what
this
isn't
to
broken?
You. Are we sure that Dylan Cousins is better than him? Are we sure right now? I could see...
I think that's a question that I think will also need to be asked, because I think on the surface with his size, the right shot... The pedigree,
he's still young.
The expectations with him, the price tag on him too.
Yep, we'll see. But I'm not sure.
I think we have every right to ask that question. Yeah. I think the way that he went through the playoffs, he could have been a little bit better. He did have a big goal in Game 5, but he could have been a lot better.
Yep.
I would love to see how he enters camp. I would love to see how he plays whatever preseason action he gets in, and how. And what line he gets deployed on. I imagine it will be a situation where he'll have Drake Batherson on his right, and if you want to reunite David Perron there, maybe that's what you do. If Fabian Zetterlund doesn't work on that top line, you can put him on the left-hand side with Cousins and Batherson maybe. I imagine Cousins and Batherson being together. But if Pinto shows that he is worth putting on a second line, or if he shows something with a Batherson, or he shows that, yes, the defense is there, but you want to take advantage of the offensive gifts. Maybe that's something you consider. But I also think Dylan Cousins is a damn good player too.
Yep.
And I think that, some of the negative with him, we're going to learn this year how much of it was him and how much of it was playing on those bad Buffalo Sabres teams that underachieved.
Yep.
You look at his defensive metrics where, a lot of shots are generated against him. But how much did that change when he joined the Ottawa Senators? The Ottawa Senators were not the best at 5-on-5. If memory serves, when he and Zetterlund joined after the deadline, that actually improved in some regard too. Yep. This 5-on-5 scoring is something we're going to look at a lot with this team, and they acquired Dylan Cousins and Fabian Zetterlund to be able to fill in those roles. So I think for Dylan Cousins, with the work that he's put in, there's going to be a spotlight on that player. And I got to talk with Sam Gagner last week, and he was raving about some of the work he was putting in at his camp in Muskoka. I think we have every right to feel some expectations, whether you're a fan or a media member, on a player of Dylan Cousins' caliber. That's someone who I'm going to be looking at who might not be the sexy pick or a person to look at.
It's hard when you get dealt, right? And like you said, that was a bad situation he was in. He comes over from Ottawa, and if my memory serves correctly, and maybe I'm a little off, but when he first jumped in, it seemed like it went right to his legs, and there was a bit of a bump, and then it sort of trailed off a little bit. And like you said, it was a okay playoffs, but not great.
Yeah, it wasn't perfect. I think that line in particular he was on with Batherson, defensively, they were not great. There was a goal, I think it was Max Domi's goal in overtime, where everyone on that line was just not great at defending.
But I'm really high on Pinto, and I think there's a chance if Dylan now. He'll have had a full off season. He'll now have a full training camp. All these things will be set up for him to do what he's supposed to do and whatever he expects him to do. I don't think it's the end of the world if Pinto passes him. I think Pinto is a bit of an underrated player who could end up at 2C. And so I'm not interested in wasting time at camp trying to see if he can play wing with Stützle or whatever.
You know he's a center. Why are you worrying about that? For me, like there are guys in this league who you look at them play and you start asking questions. Are they a center? Right. Are they a wing?
You just mentioned Max Domi.
Like, is that like where should he be playing?
Right.
If you know a guy's a center, why are you moving him?
Be happy you have him.
Be happy you have him and you keep him there. Unless you absolutely have to put him in a wing position, why are you moving Shane Pinto, who's proven to you he can play in that spot at
depth
center?
Up the middle, like you said, man.
If you want to win in this league, your depth has to be strong up the middle. So I'm not messing with that on this team.
I'm assuming it's unless he just flings the door open for himself. Carter Yakimchuk is going to Belleville this year. It's just that's what's supposed to happen with defensemen. It takes a little longer. Do you disagree? And what would you have to see out of him at training camp? Because we know he's offensively gifted. We watched him dangle the Leafs in overtime in a preseason game last year.
Yeah.
He had a little bit of a step back season, some people would say, in the WHL, but I don't think anybody's alarmed about it. What would you have to see out of him for him to find himself on the opening night lineup?
I would think the offense would need to be there, and I would think a clear improvement on the defensive end. Whether it was David Bell, who spoke at rookie camp last week, or whether it was Dave Lowry, who was one of the coaches at the crash conditioning program that Carter Yakimchuk was part of this summer. The big thing with Carter is how good defensively can he be? Mm-hmm. He has the size, maybe not the greatest skater in the world, but if he limits gap control against opposing players, like that's a big step in the right direction. And to your point about the statistics being down, just in talking to different people, whether on the Sens or close to Carter, it seems like there was this emphasis on him trying to get better defensively, which may have played a role in that.
I'm not taking the same chances I might have before. I'm trying to show I can do things.
I think that play. I don't think it's the reason why his numbers went down.
Sure,
but I think I've been led to believe it is part of the reason why. It is a factor. I choose to believe that. Okay. I just think for Carter, he has to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that he should be in the lineup. Like he has to make that decision hard for Steve Stais. And because like if you look at the depth chart on this team, specifically on the right side, I mean, they just got Jordan Spence.
Yep.
So you're going to try to figure out where's he going to fit. Artem Zub, is he a first pairing guy again with Jake Sanderson, or are you bumping him down to Thomas Chabot? Nicholas Montemapalo is a number 7 defenseman. You'll note I haven't mentioned Nick Jensen yet. Mm-hmm. Is he going to be at training camp? Is he going to start? What's his hip situation like?
Right.
I think I have a lot of... That's going to be a big question. If he's not healthy...
Oh, that's a huge piece.
That's a huge piece for this team. Yeah. Even if he's just like a second or third pairing defenseman, that's someone that this team relied on, particularly when he's healthy.
Stabilizer, for sure.
So, like, if he's not there, Nicholas Montemapalo obviously bumps up. Mm-hmm. But if you're the Ottawa Senators, do you want...
Now you have Montemapalo and Jordan Spence. Do we know he's... You know, LA obviously saw something they didn't love.
But is Carter Yakimchuk better than Nicholas Montemapalo? And I don't just mean, okay, he can provide the offense, which if he provides the offense, considering what Nicholas Montemapalo is like, that might already give him a step up.
Sure.
But also, can he defend? Because Nicholas Montemapalo might not give you that offense, but he has a little bit of skating and he can defend. And he has that familiarity playing with Tyler Clevin.
Yeah.
If you're Carter Yakimchuk and you know that off the hop he might give you something really good, but then he might trail off partway through the year, are you better off letting him just cook in the AHL and then you call him up when he's ready versus having someone who's a little bit more familiar? Because, like, I'd much rather for this Ottawa Senators team, and I feel like the Sens might think this way too, they want to make sure that Yakimchuk plays. Yeah. They want to make sure he's in a situation where he's playing. Get your minutes and not have him in and out of the lineup. Yeah. But if Carter Yakimchuk shows that he is
I can help you
1,000% ready to go today, I don't think anyone's going to complain about that. No. And I don't think anyone's going to be losing their mind if he gets the bump up over Nicholas Montemapalo, who's a stopgap, and I think is a capable stopgap. But at the same time, if Carter Yakimchuk shows throughout camp he is the guy, he should be in that spot, you're not going to hear too many complaints. That's going to be another.
They're not going to hold him out.
No. I don't think so. But
it hasn't been predestined you're going to Belleville. If you show, then we'll let you know.
I wouldn't be surprised if he started in Belleville.
Yeah.
And I think if it's a situation where it's number 7 defenseman or top pairing in AHL, I think for his development, he's better off being the top pair guy in the A. But like, if he shows he's NHL ready and he should be playing, I think that's a really good problem for the Sens to have.
A couple things quickly before we let you go here. Artem Zub, you mentioned a second ago. We don't know what Nick Jensen is going to be. Artem Zub, for the last several years, has been a great stabilizer, whether he be with Shabbat or with Sanderson, as Sanderson finds his feet. I don't know that Jake Sanderson, well, I guess I do know that Jake Sanderson no longer requires a safety blanket, but I think some fans would suggest that maybe last year Zub appeared to take a little bit of a step back. Is that a concern for you? And how do you see him? Like, can he, in your opinion, still be a top pair guy with Sanderson?
I mean, I that's a really good question. I would think I did note that I shouldn't say I did note, but I think you do bring up a good point. Yeah, maybe he did take a bit of a step back. I still think his familiarity with two of the best defensemen on this team still makes him an asset. But yeah, you kind of want him to take a step up and at least just be solid. I don't think Artem Zub is the guy on this team that the Sens are looking for to contribute offensively consistently, but just being there in the right spots, being the right pairing guy for whether it's Sanderson or Shabbat, that's a step in the right direction, obviously. I wouldn't say that's like the biggest concern entering this season. Obviously, Zub also missed a bit of time.
He's not about to fall off a cliff.
I don't think so. He did miss some time with injury last year, too. I think that played into it. And that's why we saw some of those pairings up and down the place with like Jacob Bernard-Docker and Travis Hamonic getting minutes in, too. I think health obviously is going to be the 100% big thing for him, for Artem Zub. And then we'll go from there with that.
Based on the people you're talking to and the things you've been looking at, where are we at with Tyler Boucher? Because this was, another name that, we all expected big things from, and he's just had a hell of a time staying healthy. Last week on TSN 1200, it was just a scrum after one of the rookie tournament skates, but it was played on TSN. He sounded all of the questions. How does it feel to be healthy? What were you doing this summer to stay healthy? And he sounds exasperated, and you would be, right? You'd be so frustrated. Is there anything he can do this season that sees him elevated to the Sens, or are they going to expect him to go to Belleville and just be healthy this year, and then we'll talk?
I think you have to start there. I think if he's healthy, he produces on some level, you start with that as a base, and then you work your way up. Because I think there are other prospects in this system who have leapfrogged him and have jumped ahead of him on the depth chart on this team. So I think for Tyler Boucher, if he remains healthy, he produces at the AHL level, like that's a start for him.
Yeah.
What I will say is, I feel like Belleville, they're optimistic that because he had a healthy offseason and he wasn't recovering from something, that at least that's a step in the right direction for him to have some success this year. I am curious how much time is left for him to make something of himself, and I wonder how much of that pressure kind of rests atop him too. And I get it, like you get picked in the COVID times in the draft, and some guys were heralded more than others, and you only get so much footage on certain guys. But I think for Tyler Boucher, for sure, being in that scrum with him at rookie camp, like this is a guy who is just tired of just some of the different setbacks, and you could tell it's taken a bit of a toll on him.
It would, right?
Absolutely. I think it would for anybody.
Yeah. Last thing for you. Take me back to Calgary.
Sure.
They just re-upped Dustin Wolf.
It's expensive to fly back to Calgary, but sure,
then let's
why
just
not?
stay here and you can tell me about Calgary.
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay.
Save a little more on my wallet.
The TCA budget, not huge, man.
Neither is the SDP. No.
Okay. Dustin Wolf just re-signed long-term. Connor Zary locked up in more of a bridge deal. Let's see what happens. I want to see what you are, or I want to see where the team's going. It seemed like it made good sense.
Yeah.
They were right there at the end of last year, and they were life and death right down the stretch. I believe they actually finished with the exact same number of points as the Blues at the end.
St. Louis, yeah.
But didn't have the tiebreaker. We mentioned Nazem Kadri a little while ago, who had 35 goals, but he's now 35 years old. Are they going to be in position as Anaheim gets a little better and San Jose gets a little better? Are those teams going to be taking points away from the Flames, or do they still have enough in your mind that they might still hang around and push for a playoff spot?
Going off of what I've seen from the Flames, like on paper, Anaheim and San Jose don't look like teams that are better than the Calgary Flames are.
Not necessarily saying they're going to pass the Flames, but another win takes 2 points away from you.
But to finish my point,
Sorry.
what I've also seen from the Calgary Flames is they have had those moments against those teams and they have not gotten points off against them.
Yeah.
Like, I'm pretty sure Flames fans who are listening right now to your point about Anaheim, the first thing they're saying is, if only we beat Anaheim near the end of the year, we would have been in the playoffs. Like, I'm pretty sure it was those guys who they ended up losing to late in the year who they were like, oh, well, crap. Like, if we had gotten 2 points off that.
Just one more win.
One more win, we would have been in the playoffs. Yeah. So I've seen, and I was only there 2 years, but even with the group that they have, as good as they can be, just for whatever reason, they had these random lapses against teams that they had no business losing to. So they need to make sure that gets cleared out the way. But with the roster that they have in totality, with the talent they have up top, I still think they have a solid team that should be able to compete for a playoff spot. They just need that star or two to elevate them. I think they're hoping that they get some of that stardom, some of that star quality play from a guy like Zane Parekh, who is from that 2024 draft, a top 10 pick who is a wizard handling the puck.
Yakimchuk.
Yeah, essentially. Yeah. Well, just smaller, but I think just a little bit more skilled on the puck. I wonder what it's going to be like for him going through an NHL season up and down that depth chart for the Flames.
Yeah.
I wonder for Dustin Wolf. You know, he's shown everyone at every single level since he's been drafted that he is worth trusting and that he can win games. Can he do that again in another full season? Not just in another full season, but a year where he starts camp, he is the de facto number one. Yeah. Like, you don't have to worry about Dan Vladar or somebody else eating into your minutes and we're all wondering, oh, is this the year he actually gets the full reign? No, Dustin Wolf is the guy and he's being paid like it. I like that deal for them personally. I think he's shown, again, at every level that he can win games. I think it's smart for the Calgary Flames to bet on him. And also on Connor Zary, it seemed like the idea that both sides coming together on a bridge deal made a lot of sense. Yep. This is someone who went through 2 knee injuries last year and missed a bunch of time. But I still think as a guy on this team, good young talent, does well in transition. I like him in the middle of a lineup situation. That's what we were talking about earlier about whether a guy should be a center or a wing or not. That's a guy who's in that for me. I'm like, is he a center? Is he a wing? I'm not sure. I think he's more of a wing, but like, the fact that those questions exist, I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, I have those questions about Zary, but I like that bridge deal for him. But I think the Flames, they're a team that's going to compete for a playoff spot. I don't know if they're going to get there.
The day after the trade deadline, is Rasmus Andersson still there?
We were having this chat on CJ Show the other day. Why would the Flames put themselves through that again?
Yeah.
Again. Like, I get it. Even if you're in a situation where you're competing for a playoff spot, like, you really want to go through this again, and
which you mean a big time free agent walking out the door, the Johnny Gaudreau.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I don't know if they want that again.
Yeah.
So I would think I say no. I don't think he's a member of the Calgary Flames at the deadline. I think that's the absolute last possible. That's the limit. You have to make a decision on whether or not he's staying. And while I understand that there are guys in that locker room who want to win, and they know a guy like Rasmus Andersson does so much for their team, there are guys in that room as well who know it's only a matter of time before he's gone. Yeah. Literally, Michael Backlund went on wax and said, yeah, he's going to get traded. It's a matter of when. I'm paraphrasing, but I don't know, man. They have to figure that out. I think if they let it get to a point where they keep him and then he still wants to leave, they let themselves get burned. I don't know.
It's one thing if you're like a contender and you're like, I can't trade this guy. We need him because we're taking a run at the cup. I don't think anybody thinks that's what the Flames are.
No.
The Flames are going to be life and death to make the playoffs. Is that worth? You got to get something.
There are fans in that market who would much rather see this team fold and then get to a point where they're competing for Gavin McKenna, versus making playoffs. Right. So I think if you're at that spot where you're looking at your team and you're like, they might have a chance. I don't know. And maybe it's very easy to say on a random September day, but I don't know if I'm Craig Conroy, I want assets back for Rasmus in some way, so that way I can put that towards what I'm trying to build. Having him leave for nothing, I don't like that for my team. I don't like that for what I'm trying to build.
I've kept you a long time, man. I appreciate
this was fun
you
though,
coming
man.
in.
It was what, like an hour and a half?
Oh yeah, easy.
Damn.
I'm a talkative guy. You're a talkative guy. It
Yeah,
works out well.
that's probably why.
This is it. We end up down the rabbit hole on music and whatever else is going on. I appreciate you making the time and coming in. The book is called Black Aces.
Black
Comes out
Aces, yes.
This February. We will link to the pre-order in a few different spots in the show notes at tallcanaudio.com or wherever you're hearing us right now.
Thank you so much, man.
You can find Julian on the Chris Johnston Show.
Yes, sir.
Twice a week moving forward now. We are back into it. It's hockey season.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We're back.
And reading his work covering your Ottawa Senators at The Athletic. Thanks for doing this, man.
Thanks so much for having me, man. And, just...
How was the cider there? Treat you well?
The Okanagan was really good. I really love this. Thank you so much for this. And let me know when I'm going to be back on the show, man. This is always a great time.
It'll be February, if not before.
Yes, sir. I'll make the time.
I appreciate that, and I'm going to hold you to a signed copy of that book.
Oh, yeah, I got you.
All right. Brent Wallace, who is about to make his TCA debut, and asked me to make sure I threw an elbow at you about the cider. He said, it's ciders. It's not. Now, he also said, I'm just going to have a lager. So it's not like he's being overly adventurous.
It's Brent Wallace. Like, what are we doing here?
This is it.
Is it like
elbows all over the place.
Really, him?
We had Lisa Wallace on the show back in July. And
Lisa Wallace, awesome. I'll be like, oh, okay.
Yeah,
all right, I get it. I understand.
Ian said to me when he was
Brent
here.
Wallace? Can Brent Wallace even throw an elbow? Brent Wallace is too clean cut to throw any elbows at anybody. That's not what he does. I'm not worried about an elbow from Brent.
Yeah, when Mendez was here, I was teeing up that Lisa was going to be on the following. He's like, "Oh, you got the good Wallace." So
yeah, you did get the good Wallace.
That's how that's gone.
Nah, shout out Brent. He's great.
He's a good guy. So stay tuned for all of it. Make sure you're subscribed to the Tall Can Audio podcast wherever you're hearing us right now. For Julian McKenzie, my name is Matt Robinson. Thank you so much for listening. We'll see you next time.
I thought it generally sucked. I didn't think it was a specific suck. I thought it was like an all-encompassing type of suck. So, we're going to try and rectify that. But for right now, I'm going to be pretty pissed about it.